What's going on, everybody? C4 here. Yes, we are in our Carolina Panthers franchise, but that video will be dropping a little bit later on today. First things first, there are two things I need to show you in franchise mode. One is a new feature that I think is being incredibly slept on for its utility in a franchise mode. There's a trade finder. And secondly, I'm going to show you guys what I think are the best All Madden sliders going right now. They're my All Madden sliders. I will show those at the end of the video, but let's take a look at this trade finder thingamajig. So you load up franchise mode, and the ways to trade within your trade center are the exact same options that they've been for the last couple of years. You have the trade block, the upgrade position, and the manual trade. And like the two things around franchise trades, people want more trade slots, which I guess was like a rumor that was coming to Madden 23. And unless they have that as something that's planned for like the franchise as a live service updates and stuff like that, I don't see that happening. I think that was, I don't know where that even came from. But the other one is people really want to see a trade finder. I know 2K has a trade finder option in its ways to trade. It's been an established feature within 2K's franchise. But now I don't play the 2K basketball game, so I can't comment on like all the intricacies of it. But here in Madden 23, I think that there's the closest thing to a trade finder that we will have. And it was a feature, I didn't even hear about this. Like, I don't know if they just put small font on the franchise updates, but here we go. Take a look at this. Let's throw Xavier Woods on the block just because he says, like, as average to solid of a player as, 77, not super old, not super expensive. But look at this option on our side of the request to trade. Press the Y button to get offers. Like, is this the equivalent to, like, a 2K trade finder? I got a bunch of offers coming in for the teams, and I've done a couple experiments. I'll show you a couple other players, but for the most part, like, it's not ridiculous. You're not getting first round picks. You're not getting guys that have superstar devs and stuff like that. It is just a whole lot of offers for a player that you might likely trade in your franchise mode of Xavier Woods caliber. Let's get weird. We'll throw Christian McCaffrey up. What can a 97 X Factor running back in his prime give back in return? And as you can see, really, both the Bengals and Broncos offers, not very realistic. It's not too crazy. I mean, it comes down to that fine balance, right? Do you want all these offers to be like Madden's of the years past, years most recent, where every offer is a low ball? Like, you throw McCaffrey on the trade block, and they're like, okay, we'll give you a second-round pick, half a bag of Doritos, and, Teddy Bridgewater. I don't want that. So I think personally, it might be just personal preference. I would like them to, mix in these ridiculous deals, that might break all sense of realism that you want to try to create in your franchise mode, because it's just self-control. If you don't want to make, you're like, oh my God, look how bad that trade is. And if you still accept it after saying that, then you're inheriting that upsetness. You know what I'm saying? So I'd rather at least the option be there, because if you want to just do something ridiculous and completely flip your franchise on its head, you have these ridiculous offers. Or if you want to do something a little bit more realistic, you also have pretty realistic offers that you could potentially get. Can you trade draft picks? Yep. Through our first round draft pick on the board, we got some decent players, all things considered. Man, we can get the Bears. This is my first time doing this. I haven't even checked. Whoa, okay, we got some options here. I need to consider that. The first round's looking pretty bleak in the draft. A Frank Ragnow will look pretty good here in Carolina. Quinnen Williams will look pretty good here in Carolina. Okay, good to know, good to know. And the last little bit of this trade finder is there are some players that are untradeable. Like I just threw up, for example's sake, Joe Burrow of the Cincinnati Bengals. And when you hit Y to get offers, there are no trades, which essentially means these players are untradeable. So do we give credit where credit's due? Like the AI, all these tags, and how T-billing kind of works to a degree. Certain players are untouchable, which I guess, in my opinion, that's pretty good. And to finish off the video, I do want to show you what we are using for gameplay sliders. So these sliders are going to be for All Madden. I just ran 3 games, and they felt a lot better than the 3 games of All Madden that I played previously here in this Panthers franchise in particular. For all these base settings, it's all personal preference for the most part. I will say, to help with your franchise modes, I personally like having the play call cooldown on. Sometimes you just want to run slants a little too much, and this kind of keeps you in check. I'd say between 5 and 3 is what I have used in years past. Everything else, pretty much you got to leave on. Dev trait regression, we're going to leave on, even though it doesn't matter right now. It's kind of bugged, and if rather you have it on or off, guys still go up and down dev traits. I'm running 12-minute quarters, 20-second minimum play clock time. with Chew Clock on. XP sliders, I've left them default for the last two-ish Maddens, 2-3 Maddens. I feel like it works as intended for the most part. There's some positions, special teamers, that tend to develop at a little bit slower rate. Offensive linemen can develop at a little bit slower rate, but then, you know, you gotta remember, XP sliders apply to the entirety of the league. It's not just like you can cheese your team and get your team more XP. And I just feel like for the healthiness of the league, it's just safe to leave these at default. If it does change, I will post updated sliders, but I think right now, base default XP sliders are where it's at. So here are my All Madden sliders. They are, you know, pretty generic right now, and I mean, there's not a whole lot of expectation for some super refined set. It takes about a month, and you know, it's even, you gotta be even hesitant to say that, because as soon as this game gets a title update, a lot of sliders are gonna be completely invalid and gonna have to get reworked. These are just someone that has played some All Madden here on default. I tried to buff what was good, nerf what was bad, and these, after I've played 2 games in this series, and I played 3 games tonight messing around because the servers kept disconnecting, so I just figured, hey, why not? Let's just try to get some sliders here. Let's fix them. Let's get off default everything. And they look and feel pretty dang good. So I think they're just a good starting point for you guys. If you want something a little bit more refined, you know, you want stuff that goes into, like, changing the penalty variables and the penalty ratings and things that are like, oh, you want, instead of 50, you want something that looks like this? 52 and, you know, weird numbers like that. Go check out Matt 10's Madden 23 sliders. Just Google it. It's on operationsports.com. I've used those sliders for countless years. However, last year I actually felt like they were a little too easy. First time he's let me down. I would say he's my go-to for slider sets, and he does have Madden 23 sliders out. They are a lot more refined, but I thought last year they were a little easy. This is what I'm liking right now, and it could change. It could update. I will try to keep you guys up to date, but I'm going to guess at least for the next week or two, this is probably what I feel pretty good on right now. So pass blocking and run blocking, I have given them 5 points each, 55-55. I don't think within itself, run blocking's too bad. I can get lanes created. I can actually run the football. Not everything is a TFL against me. For pass blocking, I can get decent protection sometimes. In this, you know, if you're watching this as someone that watches all my content, I had a Carolina Panthers franchise. We didn't get a single sack up against the Cleveland Browns. We shut down Myles Garrett. Where if in Madden 22, Myles Garrett get 5, 6, 7 sacks at the beginning of that game. So it felt pretty good for the most part. But generally, I buffed these up to 55 each because I think the strength of your offensive line overall needs to be a little bit stronger. I feel like the CPU insta-sheds your blocks far too frequently. It feels like they throw the ratings out and they're just like, oh, whoever that is, even 72 D tackle, he's going to be block shedding your best lineman. Felt like that was happening too frequently, so I bumped both those up to 55, and it felt a little bit better. Anything too higher felt a little too one-sided, so I feel like 55 is as high as I want to go right now. Fumbles I knocked down to 45. Again, just to relate it to my own content. A lot of fumbles in the first 2 games. Some people have said it is down to like that tackle battle that you get into where you got to smash A bunch of times, button mash it, try to break a tackle. That could be true. That could be something. I haven't noticed it 100%, but I did have a lot of people in the comments kind of bringing that up. So maybe that will be something that gets reviewed and updated the first time we get a Madden title update. But for right now, I just shaved that off a little bit to 45. Pass defense reaction time, I'll get to that in a second. I bumped tackling up to 55. Just feels like you got to combat the break tackle. The break tackle on the CPU is ridiculous. We went up against Nick Chubb. I think he broke 13 tackles in that game. Good players, bad players, didn't matter. My best players still would just fall right off them. So we're going to get 55 to give you a little bit more fighting chance when you are trying to lay some tackles. I bumped pass defense reaction time up to 55, and I nerfed the CPU QB accuracy down to 45. We cannot have Jacoby Brissett playing like Peyton Manning. He can make some plays, but he can't be going 14 of 15, 17 of 20, like every single game. And I've gone up against 2 average-ass quarterbacks on default sliders here. I went up against Jacoby Brissett and Tyrod Taylor. And Tyrod Taylor made some mistakes, but he was still making throws in that game. Tyrod Taylor has no damn right making. So this is something that could get adjusted more. I don't know which direction. I don't know if I'd knock this up to 60 first or knock this down to 40. I'm probably more inclined to knock the QB accuracy down to 40. But I played 3 games on 40, and it was... The balance with this, and there's been a myth that when you, and I actually have it on, and I learned this from Matt 10, he used to do this sliders, where you turn off intentional grounding, and it would combat quarterbacks kind of bailing on plays too early. I hate that. I hate that when it feels like the opposing team's quarterback just gets into a rhythm of throwing a ball away. Like, man, get aggressive, stay in your pocket. So we have, I feel like 45's okay for right now. Could come back to it at a later date. I nerfed pass blocking and run blocking by 5. Again, just to combat the massive discrepancy in winning the line of scrimmage. It was so shifted heavily in favor of the CPU time and time again. Felt like it was throwing ratings out the window. So we have just, really had a 10-point shift, 5 on either side, to try and get a little bit more of that balance to the line of scrimmage. I have knocked down interceptions 45. This is just based off of other people's feedback. I have actually yet to throw an interception on All Madden, but interceptions have been bad. They are eventually going to strike our team. So I just, based off of what everyone is saying, let's see if we can get a little less interceptions here. And I also nerfed their tackling down 45. It just got to a point, maybe this was the only thing that I didn't feel 100% confident with, because maybe it's just I'm on the receiving end of my guys can't make a tackle. So it feels like every time they tackle and bring someone down, it's like, oh my God, of course they make that tackle. So I feel like to combat that, we'll start this at 45, but I would say out of all these different little tweaks, the one that I would be most likely to knock back up to 50 would be tackling. So this could be a little bit personal preference, but 45 felt pretty good. I was able to actually break a couple tackles with Christian McCaffrey, which before I was not doing any of that. I left the special teams all default. I have injuries on 15. Now, I always tell people between 10 and 15 years, I've run 12, kind of as like a middle ground. Out on 15, we've had some interesting injuries in our Panthers franchise. That's really to the extent that I tested these injuries, was just, we've had a good amount. It wasn't too ridiculous. We started at 15. It's felt pretty good. We've had some big players, and it just adds, that throws that wrench into your franchise modes. Now, I felt like the min player speed threshold needed to get adjusted, and I didn't really overly test this. Matt 10 sliders, I took it from this. He knocked his down to 45, and I just felt like the speed threshold needed to be decreased a little bit. Felt like some of the speed that we have here on Carolina in particular was just like, man, they just aren't breaking away. So he had his at 45, and I trust that that's probably pretty good because we're kind of feeling the same on that game options. Now, penalties, I just left it all default. This is where, the slider set, Matt 10s, that I am recommending. He goes in, has adjusted all these variables, and for years he said that it affects how players and all these guys interact and stuff. So I'm going to, again, I don't know if that's placebo. I'm going to assume that it's right. He seems like his amount of time that he puts in, this is his thing, making sliders. It probably is right. For right now, I'm just going to leave it on default, but if you want to explore that option, I have done it in years past, and it has, I don't know, I assume, again, I don't know if it's placebo, but it has enhanced my franchise mode. For right now, I'm just keeping it at 50. But I do have intentional grounding off. So between the trade finder, which shout out to the buddy that keeps commenting about that stuff in my videos. If you comment on this, I will pin it, because I did not know about it. If I did not know about that feature, I guarantee some of you guys watching did not know about it. That's a nice little feature to have in your franchise modes, to be able to have that little mini trade finder. So shout out to that guy. And for these sliders, yeah, they're gonna change, they're gonna evolve, but I feel pretty good about them. And if you want something a little bit more in depth, absolutely go check out Matt 10's Madden 23 sliders. But you watch me play, you've watched me play and get frustrated on All Madden default. And tonight I got 3 games in, and they felt better. The things that were very frustrating were a little less frustrating. And I always say that because we can go to this week 3 game tomorrow, which you're gonna watch in a couple hours time, and see me lose my absolute mind. That's still how early we are with the Madden sliders. And again, if you want something a little bit more in-depth, I co-sign Matt 10's Madden 23 sliders. So thank you guys very much for watching. If you did learn something here today, I would appreciate it if it is your first time stopping by, to hit that subscribe button, hit the like button for the YouTube algo, leave a comment about Trade Finder. Who do you think the best guy? Who do you want to trade? I don't know. You're excited for the Panthers franchise this afternoon. We are foreshadowing, talking about trades. Panthers franchise this other afternoon. Put it together. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace out.